Will Lark is losing his mind. He's obsessed with a door on a roof, thinks he's being followed, thinks the moon is swollen and likely to drop out of the sky. His dreams have been menacing and arguably prophetic, but when his stalker confronts him and tells him to go to the door, he's thrown into a mystery that crosses worlds and truly threatens his sanity. Hi, my name is C.G. Mattini. My debut novel, Lucid, was published last month, April 2024, from Mountain Ash Press. It is the first in the Sign series, S-I-N-E. The sequel, The Butterfly and the Squid, is coming out later this year or early next. The Sign series is speculative fiction, so a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, not hard sci-fi, not deep, kind of like elvish fantasy, but meant to be a more grounded experience if you're into that sort of thing, though it does cross worlds, as you heard in the blurb. These worlds are connected and similar in important ways, and the questions are how and why. And indeed, a key theme of Lucid is the connection between all things and the pain that comes with damaging or severing that connection. It's also about consciousness and time and how they are fluid. And it begins with a young man named Will Lark who's living in San Francisco and experiencing that fluidity, though not in a good way. He's kind of losing it. He's stressed out about life. It's manifesting in dreams, like this one he had about a bee who killed a boy who looks like him. And in the morning he wakes up and there's a bee clinging to the screen outside the window of his and Elle's apartment. Elle's his girlfriend. And she wakes up and says she just had a nightmare about him dying as well. And then later he's on the beach and he cracks the binding of a book about quantum physics. He's in school at the time. And this book is about a holographic theory of reality. And as he cracks the binding and reads the first words, a bee lands on the book, then flies off. Coincidence? Synchronicity? It's hard to tell. But it's bugging him out, and things are getting harder. He starts imagining that he's being stalked. He becomes obsessed with this door on the roof of the building next to his that looks out over San Francisco Bay and the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, and Alcatraz and the Pacific Ocean. He's having more weird dreams, more strange coincidences. Then his stalker confronts him, tells him to go to the door. He does. He falls through the roof. He blacks out and he wakes up in a forest. San Francisco nowhere in sight. And now he has to figure out where he is and who he is. So who might like this book? I suspect regular readers of sci-fi and fantasy, but it's also meant to be accessible to those who don't often read those genres. And I think it might appeal to readers who like to dabble in other worldly experiences and want a more grounded adventure. Another important thing about the origin of these stories, they were conceived during what I consider to have been my quarter-life crisis, my dark night of the soul, a deep exploration of my mind and heart. And these books indeed are meant to be not just explorations of other worlds in space, but mind, heart, and soul. So I suspect they'll resonate with folks who kind of question their existence and seek adventure. Where can you buy them? Amazon, Barnes & Noble, many other online retailers. Soon to be a few local bookstores in the Colorado Springs area if you happen to live around here. There's a paperback, an ebook, and an audiobook narrated by a really awesome actor. You can also go to my website, cgmattini, where you can learn about these books and my other work, including a book of poems and some short stories and some blogs and some other stuff. So in closing, to anyone who ends up reading Lucid or any of my other work, I hope you have an experience, and I thank you.
Hello, my name is Erin Taylor. I am a Colorado native and a local author in the Colorado Springs area. I'd like to share with you my most recent book. It came out in October of 2023. It's called Strange Colorado. It is volume 1. I'm actually working on volume 2 as we speak. Hopefully it'll be out by the end of the year, beginning of 2025. What Strange Colorado is about, it is a paranormal, supernatural, nonfiction, fiction, kind of goes in between the genres, urban legends, tall tales of our great state. And what's cool about mine is that instead of just telling stories, I am going out and investigating these locations. I got to go all throughout the state, like down in Telluride, there is where the number one cryptid of all of Colorado is said to be hidden, the Slide Rock Bolter. It is a land whale that hooks itself up to the top of the peaks and then will slide down and swoop up unsuspecting travelers. I also went and investigated Tommy knockers out in a mine near Georgetown, Colorado. And that one came up with some pretty interesting results, if I should say so. There's various stories like the devil who came to Denver, the Colorado cannibal. One of my favorites was looking for the ghost on the Pikes Peak Highway, where I got to rent that stretch of road and look for Mona. But actually, I ended up finding someone else. So that one is probably my favorite story out of the entire book. So if you like ghosts, you like urban legends, you like stories about our state, I encourage you to check my book out. It is on Amazon under my name, Erin Taylor. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot me a message. I'd be more than happy to chat with you and hear your stories if you've experienced anything in our state. So thank you for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to hearing what you think of Strange Colorado. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aisha Kiva Porter, and I am an indie author located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I am here to talk to you about one of my books titled Rain. Rain follows a young African-American woman who has sort of a double life. In the daytime, she is very career focused. She has high hopes in climbing the ladder at her current advertising company. However, she does have this nightlife about her as well. And it's kind of just her going out to find someone that will be her company for the night. And she kind of moves on with her life, doesn't bother with getting to know that person. That does change, however, when she meets two different men who kind of open her eyes up to other possibilities in regards to who she is as a person, what it is that she thinks that she wants out of life. With that being said, I'll go ahead and just read that back cover for you. Rain McLaren is a 28-year-old woman who doesn't believe in relationships. Her life revolves around her career as an executive manager for a well-known advertising company and nightly relations with different men. She's a woman boss with a serious sexual appetite. She works hard to keep her professional life and her personal life separate. However, the introduction of two different men makes that almost impossible. Here's a little video trailer I cooked up for you. I hope you enjoy. Got me falling for lies, just take control of my mind. This ain't the first time that you ain't died, and I want you for the night. You keep me guessing, got my attention, want my affection. If you like stories that follow strong, independent women, finding that person that she's able to be her true self with, that she's able to be weak with, this is a story for you. If you enjoy romance with a little bit of spice, maybe a lot of bit of spice, this is for you. If you enjoy the why choose one trope, the office romance trope, this is definitely for you. I will also follow that up with, if you have by chance already read Rain, or you read it and you're dying for a little bit more of the characters in this book, I do have Rain, A Christmas in Paris. This is just a holiday follow-up to the main book. Not quite as thick, but I promise it's still a good read.
It is said that the blood of an Ironblood will lead to immortality. At least that's what Shogun Tsugai thinks. Hi, I'm Jolene D. Campbell. I'm the author of Asian myth and legend stories such as the Ironblood series, the Fallen Angel series, and the Meido Chronicles. Ake is inspired by the story of the Shinto mythology around the birth of the god of fire. Ake is the last of the fire god line and is the last of the Ironblood clan. Her powers and abilities have made her family a target for those who seek immortality and power, such as Emperor Zugai. However, those claims are false, as Ake learns more about the actual origins of her bloodline and the powers within. Her powers allow her to be not only super strong, but able to be tough in a fight, so much so that her skin is unable to be cut. However, this doesn't last long with the invention of steel being introduced to the Japanese culture. When she discovers that she is no longer as invincible as she once appeared, she learns the horrific truth about her body's ability. See, when Ake fights, not only does she become super strong, but her body also gives her a kickback against these powers. She becomes more fatigued, heavy, and the iron in her blood begins to build up, causing her pain throughout her body and in her joints. This is inspired by the blood condition known as hemochromatosis, which is a condition that affects 1 out of 250 some Americans, and it's a condition that I also have. Ake embodies those who have chronic illnesses and pain and the struggle that they face in their daily lives. Ake not only fights against those who would threaten the small valley of Hakone and those who want to exert their power over simple people, but she also battles with her own body. Through her story, not only does she find love, deal with loss, but also the challenges of trying to figure out just how to do what she has to do as a wife and a mother. The struggle and fears that she has of passing on her powers and abilities and the curse that she sees in her bloodline down to her children, but also keeping them safe from those who would want to harm them in order to try to use their blood for their gain. The story continues on in my Fallen Angels series, where we see from a modern view where the Shinto gods are still very much at large and in play, the backstory of Ake's life through the death angels that are in servitude to the goddess Izanami. Through those stories, not only do we see maybe more examples of chronic health issues, but also the challenges of what it means to be mortal, human, and finding love and acceptance in life. You can learn more about my books on my website, joleneDcampbellauthor.com. There, not only can you read more about each of my books and their recent awards, but also my blog talking about my chronic health journey, along with where you can find my social media. My books can be purchased at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and bookshop.org, and I also sell direct through my own site that is also linked on my webpage. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy my books as much as I've enjoyed creating this vast world.
Hello everyone, my name is Laura Clark. I'm here to talk to you about my book, Wild Wanderer, Soloing Colorado's 200 Highest Peaks. This book is nonfiction and full of action. If you're a hiker who loves to read books, you'll love this one. I live in Colorado Springs. I'm a Girl Scout leader and I'm a mountaineer. I've soloed over 600 peaks above 13,000 feet, including hundreds of peaks in Colorado. After summiting the 200 highest peaks in Colorado, I decided to write a book about my adventures and misadventures along the way. You can hear about all the crazy situations I got into, including some real-life ghost stories and near-death experiences. Now, the quest to solo Colorado's highest peaks seemed like a daunting task, especially as a single mother of 3 kids. From surviving severe winter storms and wildlife attacks, to navigating avalanches, falling in frozen lakes, and even battling my own mind, I braved it all alone. Follow my journey as I solo the 200 highest peaks in Colorado, learning the importance of both self-reliance and teamwork on my way to becoming a mountaineer. And as a bonus, the book contains pictures. So you can purchase the book through my website, wildwanderertripreports.com, and there's a link there that says buy the book. So you can purchase it from Amazon, from Barnes & Noble, from the site itself where you can get a signed copy. And there's also an ISBN number there that you can give to your favorite bookstore or library so they can order the book for you. This website also has hundreds of free trip reports for hikes in Colorado, complete with dozens of pictures and trailhead information for each one. Thanks everyone, and remember, I want you to win at life and enjoy the adventure.
Hi, my name is Mary Baller. I was born into an Victoria Romish church, and I went on to live in 4 different older Amish settlements. I wrote a book called Reflections and Memories of an Amish Misfit. It is a book about childhood trauma, desperation, and survival in America's Amish country. It is a story about true crime. There is also a documentary series called Sins of the Amish that talks about what happened after the book. This is prior to and kind of goes with Sins of the Amish. But I'd like to say, like, being plain is not synonymous with being Amish. Being plain defines a group of people that practices a plain life, which may include plain dress, even if they're not specifically Anabaptists. There are many varieties of Amish people and even more Anabaptists, but not all of them are plain groups. It might surprise you to know that some Anabaptists go to college and some you wouldn't be able to define as Amish or Anabaptists by their dress or by their mode of transportation. To be clear, not all Anabaptists are plain, and not all plain people are Anabaptists. Furthermore, I wrote my book because of the fact that people have written about me, and at the time of publication, they had written about me for over a decade, and they used my trauma for their own profit and benefit and gain, and they told the stories that they wanted to tell. They didn't necessarily include some of the things I talk about in the book. When I talk about my grandmother and how she inspired me, I spend a lot of time being told I'm just like her. And maybe that's the best compliment I could have ever gotten. And maybe my book is a call to action. If you see something and you think that a child might be being abused or somebody might be being abused, what are you going to do about it? Because after all, we're only as safe as our most vulnerable people. And if our children are our most vulnerable people, how safe are they when people decline to intervene or decline to say something or decline to take action to prevent this from happening to children in our communities today, regardless of what type of community it is? My book is not for the faint of heart. It has a content warning. There is a lot of trauma in there of all sorts and all types. Sometimes some people might find themselves needing to take a break, and that's okay. But you're always welcome to come back and pick it up again when you're able to. Some people might need support. I've also listed some of the resources that people might need for support. But this is a book about desperation and survival inside of Amish country in America. You can find more you can buy my book on Amazon. And autographed copies are only available on the TikTok shop. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for listening. And I appreciate all of the people that have read my book already and shared it and shared some of the information in there. It means a lot to me to know, even when we might feel like we're alone, we're never alone. And also, if you've experienced anything remotely close to what I describe in this book, I want you to know that you are enough and you always were enough, even if you don't feel like it. Thank you.